Yeah, John, this is David. Question on those longer shots when you're kind of in the dark range, what starting flow rate? Are you like starting at like half a millisecond or, and then the question I have, should I be trying to keep, because I actually find for some reason if I, on those, if I start at half a millisecond and maybe end at like two, it tastes good. If I try and shorten it out to straighten the line a little bit and have the lever go down, it doesn't taste as good. Does that make sense from you? Because I initially when I was playing the flow profiles, I figured having a straight flow was better, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
I'm going to hit a couple of your
Okay.
questions or statements at various times. So first of all, before the descent, there was a lot of talk that straight flow was best in all cases. I don't think that's the case. I think like wine that doesn't have acidity, it's boring. Coffee without acidity is boring. And if you tame acidity too much, the coffee ends up being kind of flat. So that's my feeling. And over time, we're going to see the default flow profiles probably next year on the decent change a bit as we get more successful at making flow profiles that taste good. I don't feel like we're there yet. Let's talk about your flow rates on, let's say, medium to dark. So I think your range of flow rates is greater than I would normally like. You talked about half mil per second up to 2 mils. So generally, if I'm going under, let's say, 0.8 mils per second, that would be the slowest I would consider a normal shot. I'm making what I would call an ultra thick shot. And those are great. That's a style that's a lot of fun. But a lever making that would never allow, a lever operator would never allow the espresso to go quickly if they're doing that. They would typically ram the puck with water, thus jamming it, and then sludge would come out. And as the shot started to speed up, they would be backing off to make sure that it just stayed thick and gloopy. Okay. So if you're coming down to half mil per second at the start of your shot, I would say you're making an ultra thick shot. And a couple things there. If that's what you want, then I would probably change your pressure decrease to be more severe, okay, and make the shot last longer. It's not unusual for someone with a lever machine to spend 50 seconds making a shot. That's totally okay. And for those ultra thick shots, you have to, otherwise you don't have enough in the cup. So take the default profile and just slide up and down the end pressure, okay? And bring it down further. So right now, I think the default is 6. Bring it down to like 3. In fact, a traditional lever machine ends at 0, right? When the spring gives up. And if you don't have a valve on it, you just take your cup away when you're done. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a shot that goes to 8.6 bar down to 0, and you hit stop when you hit your weight. For an ultra thick shot, the rates I'm seeing would be more like half millisecond all the way up to maximum 1.5 mils per second. But 1.2 would be kind of more typical, because I'm looking for a lot of water contact time, a lot of oils, a lot of thickness. Now, there's another approach you can take, which is if your beans aren't tasting that open, right? Because this thick shot is going to be a chocolate bomb and mayonnaise and all that good stuff. And the TDS is going to be sky high. So unless you add water, you're not going to taste much subtlety to it, but it's a fun style, right? It is absolutely the tradition of espresso. Another approach with those beans would be to end at 2 mils per second, which is absolutely fine, but not go down to such a slow rate at the beginning. So a couple of things you could do. One is you could have a pre-infusion that lasts a bit longer. So I'd recommend you don't change anything, just try the Londinium profile. Because the Londinium profile has a much longer pre-infusion, and thus that starting flow rate is not going to be as low. It's going to be quite a lot higher. You're going to get a lot of thickness during the pressurized pre-infusion of Londinium, just like this coat of mayonnaise floating on your espresso. And that's going to be really quite successful. That's actually a fun thing then to do, is to flip between default and Londinium and see how that's working for you. The other approach you could take is just to go slightly coarser, so that you are going to sacrifice super thickness at the beginning. However, the flavors in your espresso are going to open up because you've got greater flow rate now. And so it's addressing the solubility of the beans. It's taking out more material, and see if you like that. If these are good dark roasted beans, they use nice beans, not rancid, you might quite like those flavors. There were a couple things in your question. I've lost them now. So can you?
No, that's good. And I was someone just gave me some beans. I normally actually get my beans now from Dennis Brecky, where I'll start it at about 1, and I'll end at about 2. But it's only like a 20-second shot.
Yeah,
but it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a medium.
More than delicious. So I'd like to hear more than delicious. What's it like in terms of?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Flavors?
The more I like chocolate. Mm-hmm. So I keep trying to go lighter, and the fruit, I guess I keep going back to just kind of a nice chocolate with. To me, if I taste chocolate and there's no off flavors and it's just balanced, I'm very happy. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of boring, I guess, for a lot of you, but it's good, and that stuff's really good in milk too. So.
Did you try the geisha?
Oh, I did do the geisha. The only thing I could do on the geisha that you gave me, Dennis, is I used the L&J.
Yeah.
I played with a bunch of things. The L&J was great. Without the L&J, I don't think I could get enough water to flow through it.
No, it'd be way too bright and acidic.
Yeah. But I still like the chocolatey ones better.
So I want to just bring up something that I found useful. As the journey for a lot of people is from medium to lighter beans as they become more educated. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. And certainly a lot of coffee professionals teased me for preferring or wanting the anchor of chocolate in coffee. And I remember Scott Rayo taking me aside and saying that when you say the word chocolate, a lot of the people you're talking to are going to hear that as a bad thing. And that kind of surprised me, because to me, that was the anchor of coffee. So there definitely are, different camps of what people want. My problem often was the acidity on the light roast. But what I would recommend is a way to kind of flirt with your chocolate anchor. Is to get some natural beans, just a small little package of them that has a flavor that would go well with chocolate. So a typical one would be either a natural with some strawberry notes or passion fruit, other tropical things. And then make your own blend. So when you're weighing out your dose, let's say it's 15 grams, just put 2 grams of that natural into your scale. And that's really a lot of fun. That's a way to just kind of complexify what you're doing. So just a little tip there.
Thank you.